Just in, Donald Trump is staring down the kind of political collapse this country has never seen. And tonight, the special counsel just confirmed it on the record. The indictment is unsealed, the evidence is stacked, and Jack Smith is saying the quiet part out loud. Trump now faces imminent arrest, the moment he loses presidential protection. We're talking felony national security violations, a sweeping conspiracy cover-up, witnesses flipping, documents, call logs, the whole thing. This isn't rumor. This is power colliding with truth. And if Smith is right, Trump's fall won't be slow. It'll be sudden and unforgettable.
Good afternoon. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced.
Special Counsel Jack Smith is telling Republicans, game on. In a letter just released from his attorneys to Congressman Jim Jordan and Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairs of the House and Senate Judiciary Committee, Jack Smith is offering to testify.
Let's talk about what this moment really is, not just for Donald Trump, but for the idea of America as a nation of laws. Right now, we have something we've never had before, a former president, now again president, who was federally indicted over his attempt to overturn an election and his handling of classified documents, and a special counsel who has now put in writing that the admissible evidence was strong enough to win at trial. The only reason that trial isn't happening is a policy shield that kicks in the second Trump walks into the Oval Office again. That's the core of the imminent arrest conversation. It's not about a secret promise that the FBI will tackle him on the White House lawn the minute he steps outside. It's much simpler and, in a way, more chilling than that. Jack Smith did the work. Grand juries voted to indict. Federal judges presided over hearings. The only thing that stopped the cases was Trump winning back the presidency and the Justice Department following its long-standing rule: you don't prosecute a sitting president. Not because he's innocent, not because the evidence fell apart, but because the system decided decades ago that criminal trials and the presidency can't coexist.
The many mischaracterizations of Mr. Smith's investigation into President Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents and his role in attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 election, Mr. Smith respectfully requests the opportunity to testify in open hearings before the House and Senate Judiciary.
To understand how serious this is, you have to look at what Smith actually found. In the election obstruction case, the indictment and then the final report walk through a step-by-step campaign to overturn the 2020 results, pressuring state officials, promoting fake electors in key swing states, leaning on Mike Pence to throw out lawful electoral votes, and using January 6th as a last-ditch pressure point to stop the peaceful transfer of power. None of that is rumor. It's laid out in court documents and in the report itself, backed by testimony from insiders and piles of messages, notes, and call records. Smith's report doesn't speak in cable news language, but the meaning is blunt. It says the evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial. That's prosecutor speak for, we were confident we could win in front of a jury. He makes it clear the decision to drop the case wasn't about doubt. It was about the Justice Department choosing to obey its own Office of Legal Counsel opinions that say you can't indict or try a sitting president, no matter how strong the case. That policy was written in a very different era. Now it's sheltering the very person who tried to exploit every weakness in the system. Then there's the classified documents case. Remember how this started? The FBI found thousands of government records at Mar-a-Lago, including hundreds marked classified, months after Trump left office. Some were reportedly stored in places like a bathroom and a ballroom. Smith charged him with willful retention of national defense information and obstruction, essentially saying Trump knew he had these documents, knew they were sensitive, and tried to hide them and block efforts to get them back. That case technically collapsed before the election, but not because the evidence was weak. A Trump-appointed judge, Aileen Cannon, threw it out on a controversial theory that Smith's appointment as special counsel was unconstitutional, leaning heavily on a Supreme Court concurrence that many legal scholars consider fringe. Even after that, Smith appealed and then moved to wind the case down after Trump's 2024 win, again citing the policy against prosecuting a sitting president. So when people say Trump beat the documents case, it's important to be honest. It wasn't a clean acquittal. It was a combination of one very friendly judge and a policy shield that kicked in when he won the Electoral College. Layered on top of all this is the Supreme Court's ruling in Trump versus United States, which expanded presidential immunity for official acts. The court said presidents have at least presumptive immunity for a wide range of actions taken while in office, and absolute immunity in certain core areas. That ruling forced Smith to rewrite charges, cut out parts of Trump's conduct, and rethink what a jury would even be allowed to hear. It's hard to overstate how much that tilted the playing field toward a president who already had enormous institutional advantages and a fanatically loyal base. So when Smith finally closed his office, he did something unusual. He wrote down in the dismissal papers and in his report that the DOJ stands fully behind the prosecution on the merits. He wanted a record that future attorneys general couldn't twist. He wanted Congress and the public to see that these cases weren't some flimsy political stunt. They were serious prosecutions that ran headfirst into a combination of judicial decisions and a long-standing policy about sitting presidents. Outside government, in rare public comments, Smith has kept hammering the same point. His team was nonpartisan, made up of career prosecutors from both Republican and Democratic administrations. And the idea that the cases were political is absolutely ludicrous. Meanwhile, he's watching from the outside as the new Trump-controlled Justice Department goes after critics and drops other corruption cases. The exact kind of politicization he tried to avoid. That contrast is brutal. The guy who followed norms is being investigated, while the man he charged is now using the system to protect his allies and punish his enemies. If you zoom out, this is where the phrase imminent arrest really comes from. It's not about a date circled in red ink. It's about trajectory. Trump has already been indicted. Juries have already been impaneled. A special counsel has already said the admissible evidence would likely convince 12 citizens beyond a reasonable doubt. The only variable now is timing and politics. As long as Trump stays in office, the policy shield holds. The minute he's out, whether that's in 2029 or sooner if something changes, that shield disappears. And the next Justice Department, under a different president, will have to answer a question they can't dodge forever. Do you pick up those cases and move forward, or do you let the record stand without a trial and accept that a president can do what Trump did and never face a jury? Trump and his defenders, of course, have their talking points. They say it's all political, that he's being punished for challenging an election. They point at delays, dismissals, and pardons as proof that the cases were bogus. Not that the system bent itself around a powerful man. But look at who else was charged or investigating. Lawyers who helped push the fake electors scheme, aides who helped move boxes, advisors who spread lies they knew were false. Look at the mountain of evidence Smith assembled. Call logs, emails, text messages, security footage, memos from Trump's own lawyers warning him that his plans were illegal. That's not politics. That's what a real criminal case looks like. And think about who doesn't get this kind of mercy from the system. Ordinary people go to prison for far less. For lying to the FBI once, for mishandling a single classified document, for playing a minor role in a conspiracy cooked up by somebody more powerful than them. Some of the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th are serving sentences right now, even as the man whose lies helped send them there sits behind the Resolute desk again. Trump has even started handing out pardons to allies and January 6th defendants, while claiming he's the victim. That's not accountability. That's what impunity looks like. For election workers and public servants, the message is terrifying. If you're a local official who refuses to find votes that don't exist, you can end up doxxed, harassed, threatened, maybe even forced from your job. If you're a federal prosecutor who does your job too well, you might see your case dismissed on technical grounds and then watch as the political system turns on you. But if you're the president who started the fire, you might just get another 4 years in power and a chance to rewrite the story. And yet, there's another side to this moment. The very existence of Smith's report, the public release of parts of it, the detailed timeline of what Trump did and how the cases were built, all of that is a reminder that the rule of law isn't gone. It's wounded, it's under assault, but it still has a voice. Career officials at DOJ, judges who refuse to bow, reporters who refuse to look away, they forced this story into the open. They made it impossible to just quietly bury what happened between November 2020 and January 6th and beyond. That's why this isn't just a Trump story. It's a test for us. Are we willing to live with a permanent double standard where powerful people get endless second chances and technical outs while everyone else gets the full weight of the law? Or do we insist that the evidence in those indictments and in that report actually means something, not just for Trump, but for the next person who thinks about trying the same thing? Because if the lesson of this era is that you can attack an election, hoard classified documents, pardon your allies, and then hide behind office and policy until the clock runs out, don't be surprised when someone worse tries again. So when you hear the phrase imminent arrest, translate it into what it really is. Imminent accountability. Delayed, blocked, pushed into the future, but never fully erased. Smith's work made sure there is a detailed, documented roadmap for holding a former president to the same laws that apply to everyone else. Whether that roadmap is ever followed is a political question. But the facts, the evidence, the story of what happened, that part is already written. And if we still believe in democracy, we don't get to pretend we never read it.